Dave Roberts flatly denies accusations that the Dodgers stole signs. USC boosters make a second attempt at an NIL collective, and Julian Araujo does in fact leave LA Galaxy to at least train with FC Barcelona. Good morning, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports scene in the world, Los Angeles. This is the Faithful Angelinos Morning Report. It is February 16, 2023. I am still stuck in Portland, Oregon for one more day before I go back home to the wife. Very much looking forward to seeing her, but let's talk a little sports. It's the way we pass the time here. If you like the content we put out about Los Angeles sports, click the like button. Click the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. It'll let you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. That's why I created the channel in the first place. Before we go through the news and notes and look at the scoreboard, yesterday, the Lakers righted the ship with a 120-102 victory over the New Orleans Pelicans. Anthony Davis scored 28 points, grabbed 10 rebounds. LeBron James, after missing 3 games with an ankle injury, comes back, scores 21. Not bad. Here's the thing. The Lakers now have 23 games to go, and they are still a couple of games out of the play-in round. Not a couple of games out of the playoffs, the play-in round. The Lakers need to put together a winning streak to be taken seriously. Meanwhile, today, it's the final day before the NBA goes on its All-Star break. The Clippers are in Phoenix. That game is at 7. 4th-ranked UCLA is going to be hosting Stanford at Pauley Pavilion. That game is at 8. And California is at USC. Kind of a must-win game for the Trojans. That game is at 7. There is a reason that I have avoided the topic of alleged Dodgers sign stealing. And it's a really very simple reason. There's no proof, right? I'm not going to call them cheaters unless I have proof. Like, there were accusations against Trevor Bauer. Now, I'm not telling you that Trevor Bauer is a good man. I wouldn't give him my sister's phone number for $1 million, but for how many million? Anyway, I wouldn't give him my sister's number for a lot of money. But at any rate, the point is, I don't know what happened in that hotel room that night with Trevor Bauer, so I'm not going to accuse him and say he did something when I don't know. The accusations of Dodgers illegal sign stealing comes primarily from 2 sources. And those 2 sources would be the teams that not only were accused of cheating, but were convicted of cheating by MLB. That would be the Houston Astros and the Boston Red Sox. See, they're trying to say that they don't deserve any scorn because, the Dodgers are doing the same thing. Major League Baseball investigated 7 teams. 7. Only 2 of them were proven to be cheaters. The Dodgers weren't there. They were not one of the 2. So there's this book coming out, Winning Fixes Everything. And that detailed, to be fair, it detailed the Astros sign stealing cheating scandal. But the book also accused the Dodgers of chicanery. For instance, it cites that it alleges that there was a camera in center field hooked up to an iPad in the dugout so that the coaching staff could relay what pitchers are coming in real time. I'm skeptical of that because if you think about it, after the catcher gives a signal, the pitcher can wind up throw whatever they damn well want. A pitcher with a quick delivery, it doesn't matter if he comes in on an iPad. That pitch is crossing home plate. Also, an anonymous Dodgers player claimed that base runners were part of a scheme with the video room in 2017. Now, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts was furious about it. He said that they were investigated by Major League Baseball in 2018, and the probe, quote, came up with nothing, unquote. Now, Roberts did add that he wanted to know who the Dodgers player, this anonymous Dodger player, is. We don't know, and it's highly unlikely he'll never know. But the reason that I'm skeptical of base runners being part of a scheme is that base runners often signal to home plate what pitch is coming. If you ever notice on the shot from the center field camera, while the pitcher and the batter, if a runner is on second base, you will see the runner often signal to the batter where the catcher is lining up behind home plate. He might do it with his head. He might do it with a flick of his hand. You will often see it. Now, the reason that that's not a scandal, unlike what the Astros did, if I was trying to steal signs while I was a base runner at second base, when I come up to home plate the next time, I'm getting a baseball in my ear because the game polices itself. What the Astros were doing was using technology to steal signs and not get caught and not have any of their players face any consequences. There's a big difference between technology and somebody on second base who you can catch and punish. Big difference. So no, I do not believe that the Dodgers were cheaters until the proof comes out. Until then, close the book. It's the Houston Trastros. Relief pitcher Blake Trinan, he arrived at spring training out in Arizona for the Dodgers. Now, he had multiple shoulder surgeries in November. It's a 10-month recovery time frame. So just because he's showing up to spring training, do not expect him to be ready for opening day. He's hopeful he can pitch sometime by the end of the year. He's got a throwing program, and it's going to be a long one that kicks off any day now. Relief pitcher Jimmy Nelson has signed his fourth consecutive one-year deal with the Dodgers. He also is injury prone, but he did appear in 27 games last year, and he was just lights out, a 1.86 ERA for the Dodgers. Trojans backers are taking a second stab at a third-party collective, which could pay USC athletes as part of the name, image, and likeness rules that have come to the forefront in the last couple of years in major college sports. 6 entrepreneurs with ties to USC, and by the way, one of the six entrepreneurs is Trojans football legend Keyshawn Johnson. They formed, quote, the Tommy Group, unquote, obviously named after Tommy Trojan. Now, the first attempt at a collective was called Student Body Right. That group imploded, and the founder of Student Body Right died last year without having even a single client on its roster. That group had a contentious relationship with the school. The school wants to be in on any third-party collectives. The reason being is that just because you can pay athletes now, there are still rules involved. If Student Body Right, for example, went off and broke rules, it doesn't matter whether they're affiliated with USC or not. USC would still get punished. The difference is, according to the people in the Tommy Group, is that they have a working relationship with USC. A working relationship. Now, to be clear, that doesn't mean that everything is all good with a third-party collective. Any third-party collective for any school has to come correct. What do I mean by that? If you look at Florida lost an elite quarterback to Arizona State because a collective out in Gainesville, known as the Gator Collective, screwed up. They didn't have the money to pay the recruit. And so he said to hell with it, took his football and went to Arizona State. So the Tommy Group, it's not completely formulated yet, but apparently at least they have a good working relationship with USC. Speaking of Trojans football, we talked a bit about how the Trojans must get deeper on defense, more talent, better organization. Well, we believe that they have one of the three. They may not be better organized. We don't know how we don't know how talented they are, but they are deeper. And this does have impact when spring football kicks off in March. 24/7 Sports listed 2 Trojans defenders that have to really turn up in spring ball in order to keep their jobs. One of them would be defensive end Corey Foreman, once considered the #1 recruit in the country. But he's been injury prone. He didn't really play a lot last year, although he did have a key play in a victory over rival UCLA. The 5-star prospect could be on the outs because the Trojans have bolstered up their defensive front. You're looking at returning defensive end Romello Height, returning defensive end Solomon Byrd, but also a transfer in Jack Sullivan and a top 100 recruit out of high school in Braylon Shelby. So Corey Foreman needs to step up his game. So does inside linebacker Rajon Davis, because the Trojans are adding a transfer, Mason Cobb, and a freshman, highly regarded recruit, Tackett Curtis, on the horizon. Yesterday, I reported that we shouldn't put too much faith in the foreign soccer media, and well, like a broken clock, the foreign soccer media was right. Broken clock, right? Twice a day. Foreign soccer media twice a year. I don't know. Point being is that Julian Araujo is on his way to Barcelona, should arrive in Spain today. He's going to train with Barca while he learns if he can join the European superpower on a transfer from LA Galaxy. You may recall the Galaxy had a deal in place in January, but a computer issue screwed the whole damn thing up. It's not official yet that Araujo can actually compete in a game. So what happened is that case is going to basically a group that considers transfer appeals in international soccer. If Barcelona loses the appeal, we still have no idea what would happen then. So Barcelona needs to win the appeal. Otherwise, for all we know, Julian Araujo might train in Spain because the Euros are insane. For an entire year, it could go on like that. Having said that, the Galaxy gets about $4 million for the transfer deal. Now, Araujo was without question, he was a key contributor on the Galaxy back line. So without Araujo, the Galaxy trotted out former center back Sega Coulibaly to defend the right side. I didn't see the game. I know Coulibaly is a very physical player prone to getting carded. But can I be blunt with you guys? I don't mind it. I don't mind that idea. Because the Galaxy have a teenage prospect named Jalen Neal, who played for the United States men's national team in January. The Galaxy do come up with prospects, but it's in such an ass-backward way that they treat their elite prospects. For whatever reason, they very rarely get time on the big club. And I want to see if Jalen Neal actually has the skills. He has enough skills to represent our country, but not for the LA Galaxy? Does that make any sense to anybody? So yeah, if Coulibaly goes on the right side and that opens up a chance for Jalen Neal, I'm all for it. Besides that, winger is a much bigger problem for the Galaxy right now. The LA Kings are on a hot streak, and one thing I forgot to point out, Adrian Kempe in his last 3 games has taken 14 shots and scored 7 goals. Very impressive, I must say. We've also talked quite a lot about Jakub Chetrin over the past few days, about a possibility of a trade. But having said that, the Kings do have a bevy of defensemen that they'd like to keep, and they absolutely locked one up yesterday. Mikey Anderson was signed to an 8-year extension with an average value of more than $4 million per year. Do the math, that's $32 million. He is a traditional, responsible, stay-at-home defenseman, and that's extremely valuable because he's been paired with Drew Doughty, who really likes to take a gamble or two on the offensive end. It does expose the defense. Thankfully, Anderson has been more than capable when Doughty takes a gamble. Now, the contract does not rule out necessarily the Kings from adding Chetrin. For next year, the Kings currently would have about $8.7 million in cap space, according to the website Cap Friendly. So adding Chetrin is still a possibility. Would you let me know what you think in the comments thread? Do you think the Dodgers are getting a raw deal by being accused of cheating with no proof from Major League Baseball? What do you think about USC, whether it be the collective or its upgrading or deepening its talent on defense? And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelinos. We talk LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelinos is a Quian Corte El Queso production. Take care.